Imagine standing in the heart of a city where the air smells of spices, the streets echo with the hum of merchants and scholars, and the power of empires pulses through every stone. Welcome to Cairo in 1400, a time when it was the beating heart of the medieval world. Cairo, in the year 1400, was a city unlike any other sprawling metropolis that stood as the heart of the medieval world. Nestled along the banks of the Nile, its strategic position at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe made it an unparalleled hub for trade, culture, and religion. Merchants from distant lands, Europe, Asia, and sub-Saharan Africa, to Cairo's legendary markets, filling the air with the scent of spices, silks, and rare commodities. Here, gold, ivory, and textiles were exchanged with a fluidity that connected distant corners of the known world. The city's skyline, punctuated by grand mosques, towering minarets, and majestic palaces, reflected the wealth and power of its rulers. At the peak of the Mamluk Sultanate, Cairo was a beacon of architectural brilliance, its citadel towering over the bustling city. The streets were alive with intellectual pursuit, as scholars gathered in renowned institutions like Al-Azhar University, the spiritual and educational nerve center of the Islamic world. By 1400, Cairo was not just a city. It was a symbol of medieval splendor, a vibrant fusion of trade, knowledge, and power that left an indelible mark on history. Cairo in 1400 was a city of constant motion, a place where life unfolded at a relentless pace, driven by the vibrant pulse of its people. The streets were alive with the clamor of voices, the rhythmic clinking of coins, and the sounds of merchants haggling over goods. The markets, particularly the famous Khan el-Khalili, were the lifeblood of the city. You could find everything from spices and perfumes to intricate textiles and fine pottery. The air was thick with the mingling aromas of cinnamon, saffron, and cumin scents that told the story of Cairo's position at the crossroads of global trade. People of all walks of life crowded the streets. The wealthy merchant class, draped in fine silks, negotiated business deals with foreign traders, while humble artisans, farmers, and laborers toiled away in the city's workshops and along its dusty roads. The diversity of Cairo's population was staggering: Arabs, Berbers, Turks, sub-Saharan Africans, and Europeans, all coexisting within a tapestry of cultures, languages, and traditions. The city was a melting pot of faith and belief, with mosques, churches, and synagogues standing side by side, each a testament to Cairo's role as a religious center. Cairo's streets, ever-changing and bustling, were a living testament to the city's position as the cultural and economic powerhouse of the medieval world. Cairo was not only a commercial and political powerhouse, it was also the intellectual epicenter of the medieval world. In 1400, the city was home to some of the most prestigious centers of learning, most notably Al-Azhar University. Established in 970, Al-Azhar had become a beacon of Islamic scholarship, attracting scholars and students from across the Muslim world. It was here that the most profound theological, philosophical, and scientific minds gathered to debate, study, and teach. Its vast library housed priceless manuscripts, and its lecture halls echoed with the voices of the greatest intellectuals of the time. Beyond Al-Azhar, Cairo hosted a vibrant community of scholars, poets, and scientists. The city's intellectual life was not confined to religious study alone. It was here that groundbreaking works in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were written, with scholars like Ibn Khaldun, the renowned historian, shaping the future of social sciences. Cairo's hospitals and observatories were at the forefront of medical and astronomical research, further cementing its status as a city where knowledge flourished. In Cairo, knowledge was not just power, it was the essence of the city itself, a thread woven into the very fabric of its culture and identity, making it the greatest intellectual capital of the medieval world. The Mamluks were the unseen force that upheld Cairo's dominance in the medieval world. In 1400, their military prowess defined not only the city's security, but its very existence. Once enslaved soldiers, the Mamluks had risen to become the ruling class, asserting their power after the overthrow of the Ayyubids in the 13th century. By the time of the 5th-10th century, they controlled Egypt with an iron grip, their sultans ruling with both military might and political savvy. The Mamluks were not just skilled warriors, they were a disciplined military caste whose impact extended far beyond the battlefield. Their rise to power was born from their exceptional ability to defend Cairo from formidable invaders. Most notably, they had decisively defeated the Mongols at the Battle of Angelut in 1260, halting their westward expansion and securing Egypt's borders. Their military strategy, combined with a strict code of discipline and loyalty, allowed them to maintain control over the region for centuries. Under Mamluk rule, Cairo became a fortified city, its walls bristling with defense mechanisms, its streets protected by soldiers trained to defend against both foreign threats and internal unrest. Their reign marked an era of stability and prosperity, but it also carried with it a relentless focus on military dominance, a defining feature of Cairo's identity in the medieval period. Religion was the very soul of Cairo in 1400. The city was a vibrant mosaic of faith, with Islam at its core, but also home to Christians, Jews, and other religious communities living side by side. The mosques of Cairo were not merely places of worship. They were the beating heart of the city's social and intellectual life. The grandeur of these buildings, from the majestic mosque of Ibn Tulun to the awe-inspiring Ul-Hakim Mosque, reflected both the spiritual and political power of the Mamluk rulers. The mosque was a center for more than just prayer. It was a space for learning, gathering, and community engagement. Scholars would deliver lectures, students would gather to debate, and the faithful would come to hear sermons that resonated throughout the city. The mosque was where legal disputes were settled, where political leaders sought guidance, and where Cairo's most important social events took place. Cairo's Islamic identity was further enriched by the rise of Sufi mystical orders, with their emphasis on personal devotion and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, flourished in the city. Sufi gatherings brought together people from all walks of life, blending devotion with philosophy and adding a layer of mysticism to Cairo's deeply religious atmosphere. In 1400, the city's religious life was integral to its character, shaping not just the lives of its people, but the very fabric of Cairo itself. Cairo's prosperity in 1400 was built on the backbone of its trade. The city stood as the central point of a vast economic network that spanned continents, situated along the Nile and at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Cairo was the meeting point for merchants, diplomats, and traders from across the world. The city's markets, especially the famous Khan el-Khalil, were a bustling hub of activity, where gold, textiles, spices, and ceramics from India, Africa, and Europe were exchanged in vibrant displays of commerce. Cairo's role as a trade capital was not limited to goods. It was also a key player in the exchange of ideas and culture. The wealth generated from trade allowed Cairo to flourish as a center of intellectual and artistic endeavor. The flow of goods from across the world funded the construction of grand buildings, religious institutions, and public works that would define the city for centuries. For them, trade was not just about profit, it was a symbol of Cairo's power. The city was a gateway for the pilgrimage to Mecca, and its ports were crucial in connecting the Islamic world with Europe and the Far East. This trade network allowed Cairo to maintain its position as a thriving metropolis, where commerce and culture intertwined seamlessly. Cairo's skyline in 1400 was a testament to the city's architectural brilliance, reflecting the power and vision of its rulers. The Mamluks, determined to assert their authority, commissioned grand structures that would leave an indelible mark on the city. The citadel of Saladin, perched atop a hill, dominated the city's skyline. It was a fortress, a symbol of Mamluk military strength, and a center of governance. The citadel's towering minarets and imposing walls watched over the city, reminding all who entered that Cairo was a city forged by conquest and protected by force. The Mamluks were also patrons of religious architecture, commissioning the construction of stunning mosques that blended spiritual purpose with architectural mastery. The Mosque of Sultan Hassan, completed in 1363, was one of the finest examples. Its massive size and intricate design symbolizing both the wealth and the ambition of Cairo's rulers. Alongside mosques, the city saw the rise of caravanserais, public baths, and bridges, each serving a functional purpose but also contributing to the city's visual grandeur. Cairo's urban landscape was more than just a collection of buildings. It was a carefully constructed narrative of power, faith, and culture, an architectural legacy that continues to define the city today. In the mid-14th century, Cairo, like much of the medieval world, was struck by one of the deadliest pandemics in human history, the Black Death. Arriving in 1347, the plague wreaked havoc on the city, causing devastation that would echo through generations. By the time the plague reached Cairo, its grip on the population was already fierce, but the city's densely packed quarters and central position in global trade allowed the disease to spread rapidly. Cairo's population, which had once numbered well over 1 million, was decimated. Estimates suggest that up to half of the city's inhabitants perished in just a few short months. The social and economic fabric of the city was torn apart. Markets stood empty, and once bustling streets became eerily silent as families mourned their dead, and survivors fled in fear. The plague did not only claim lives, it altered the course of Cairo's history. The loss of so many people weakened the Mamluks' control, undermining the workforce and destabilizing trade. The impact on religious life was profound as well. Mosques and religious institutions, which had been the heart of the city's identity, struggled to maintain their influence in the wake of such suffering. This dark chapter in Cairo's history marked a turning point, leaving scars that would linger long after the plague's final wave receded. By the year 1400, Cairo was no longer the untouchable metropolis it had once been. Though still a grand city, it was beginning to show signs of decay. The Mamluk dynasty, which had held power for over 2 centuries, was beginning to weaken. The once vibrant city was now struggling with internal corruption, economic challenges, and a gradual loss of political control. The Black Death had left deep scars, and while trade continued to flow, the city's economic foundation was no longer as stable as it had been during its golden years. Externally, Cairo faced increasing pressure from the rising Ottoman Empire, which had begun its own territorial expansions. The Mamluks were no longer able to keep the Ottomans at bay with the same level of military prowess. Their power, once unchallenged, was eroding. The political instability that followed contributed to a gradual decline in Cairo's influence. What was once the intellectual and cultural capital of the Islamic world now found itself struggling to maintain its dominant position. As the 15th century wore on, the city's glory would begin to fade, preparing the way for the Ottomans to eventually seize control in the early 16th century. Marking the end of an era, Cairo, in 1400 began to witness the signs of decline. Its legacy has endured through the centuries, shaping the city and its place in the world. The intellectual, cultural, and architectural achievements of this era left an indelible imprint that continues to influence Cairo today. The great mosques, universities, and public works built during the Mamluk period still stand as a testament to the city's grandeur. Al-Azhar University, founded centuries earlier, continues to be a global center of Islamic scholarship, echoing Cairo's past as a beacon of learning. Cairo's role as a crossroads of trade and culture remains relevant, with the city's bustling markets and rich history continuing to attract scholars, tourists, and traders from around the world. The Mamluks' architectural legacy, from the Citadel to Sultan Hassan Mosque, serves as a constant reminder of the power and ambition that once made Cairo the heart of the medieval world. Today, Cairo still echoes the stories of its past, a city that once stood as the intellectual and cultural hub of the Islamic world, whose influence continues to reverberate in the modern era. The legacy of Cairo in 1400, with all its triumphs and trials, is woven into the very fabric of the city, making it a living testament to a remarkable past.